Hi, everybody, and welcome to our third and final session of resistance band training. Today we're going to be using a variety of different bands, predominantly, the one I use with handles, but if you have a therapy band, that doesn't have handles, you can certainly adopt and adapt the exercises for that. And I'm also going to do a few exercises with these little hip circles or loop bands. So if you have any of those around and you want to grab them. Um, Thing with resistance band training, there's all kinds of different bands available. You have the affinity bands, the handled bands, the therapy bands, loop bands, and they're just such a great little tool to have in your fitness arsenal. They're portable. You can get a great full body workout with them. Just a great little tool to have for a lot of different reasons. So we're going to get started. I've got a little program for us where we're going to do some upper body exercises first, and then we'll take a little break and do a lower body exercise. I'm going to use a timer here. I use something called Tabata Pro timer, just to keep me on track so we don't go over. But let's start with a quick warm up. So just, loosen up a little bit our joints. I'm just going to do some big arm circles here. This is a pretty abbreviated warm up, only because we only have a half hour. But if you were sitting at your desk or driving or, sitting down predominantly, you want to, we're going to do some torso twists. So just plant your lower body and twist side to side. You would want to get up, walk around, get the blood pumping, and then do a little bit of movement style dynamic warm up like we're doing here, just to loosen up all those joints. So side to side torso twist, try to keep the lower body steady, okay? Here we go. We're going to take it and go down to our toes, up and down, loosening up those hips, shoulders, all the way through, up and down. Do a couple more of each side. As I said, very abbreviated. We just want to move, do some knee grabs. We want to move through patterns of movement that we'll be doing in our exercise just to loosen up and warm up those joints. Okay, gonna turn it around, do some little squats here, sitting down and back. Let's do 5 of those. There's 3 and 4 and 5. And then to stretch out our backside, hip hinging, where I'm just gonna stand shoulder width apart at the hips, push those back, go to a flat back, feel a stretch up through the hamstring and reach forward to get a good stretch to your side body and increase the stretch through our hamstring. Drive forward, take it back, drive forward, take it back. Let's do 3 more of those. Oh, here we go, loosening everything up, moving through. Okay, very abbreviated warm up, a little bit of shoulder, a little bit of hip, hamstring, quadricep, and some movement. So what we're going to do, we're going to get started here, is upper body first. We have about a minute. We'll do 30 seconds of exercise, have a 30-second break in between. We'll go through each set basically twice. So we're going to start off with a chest press. So I have this band anchored around a pole I have. So, if you have a place in your house, they also come with these little anchors that you can set it up over a door or inside the edge of a door and anchor through the loop of those. You can anchor under furniture that's sturdy, but I'm anchored over my little wall piece here. And I'm actually going to turn you guys just a little bit so you can see a little bit more of that. Okay. And I'm going to come in and put my bands at chest level. And what we're going to do is a chest press, but alternating. So one arm at a time. Okay, we're going to do 30 seconds of that. So here we are. I'm in a little staggered stance for stability. Nice shoulders down and back, chin level with the ground, and one arm goes out at a time. Now, the nice thing about bands is that you're really working through the entire range of motion. You have to control the return as much as the push on the movement out. And it also, because you have to stabilize, all through the range of motion,
Rest.
you are really going to work all those little stability muscles. Now I'm going to turn forward and I'm going to do an alternating row. So the same thing, one arm at a time, tall chest, shoulders down and back, chin level with the ground, soft knee, and I'm going to pull one arm back, squeeze on that side, try to hold your core tight. Okay, here we go. We're moving 30 seconds of these back and forth. Here we go. All the way back and forth. So when you're exercising, you want to be exhaling on the tougher part of the exercise and inhaling on the easier part. And with bands, you want to make sure that your tempo, the timing is good. So if you're coming back 1, 2, 3, you want to return. You don't want it to snap you back. You want to control that entire range of motion. Now I'm going to move down to the floor with another band, and I'm going to step on each end of it and give myself a good amount of slack in the middle. As I come up, tall chest, shoulders down and back, I'm going to hold on to the band at different levels. What I'm going to do here is an upright row. It's going to work my shoulders. I'm going to come up, lead with my elbows like I'm pouring a milk carton out, and come up and return, keeping those shoulders down and back. Really feel that as your shoulder blades squeeze at the top of the movement, squeeze down and together and up and down. Okay, we've got 30 seconds of these. Keep those elbows. Elbows should be higher than your wrist in this movement. Keep them up nice and high. This is my upright row, working my top of my back. Okay,
Rest.
we're going to stay with this band loose. I'm using my foot as an anchor, and we're going to do one arm at a time. We're going to do a combo exercise here, where we're going to come up to a bicep curl, flip the wrist around and go into a shoulder press and come back down again. So I'm going to hold both feet on the band. And you know, with the bands, the thicker the band, generally, the heavier the work. But you can also, here we go, ready? Come up to the curl, flip it around and come over. You can also make it harder by shortening how much band you have accessible. It's like an elastic. The shorter it is, the harder it is. So keep that elbow nice and tight. Come up to your curl, flip the wrist, come up overhead, bring it back down, control through the entire range of motion. We're going to do one side and then we'll switch to the other side. Here we go. Try to get one more in there. Great. And we've got a 30-second rest between. I'm going to go to the other side. So if I'm pulling only up 12 inches of the band, it's a lot harder than giving myself 24 inches of the band. So you can adjust your tension, which is the resistance, by shortening the lever. Otherwise, bands come in very different thicknesses, and the thicker the band, generally, the harder it is to pull apart. So here we go. We're on the left arm. Up to the curl, flip it, and overhead. Come back down again. Up, turn, overhead, back down again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Little compound exercise here, catching a couple of different muscle groups at the same time. And all through this, we're standing in a nice athletic stand. Feet shoulder width apart, soft knee. We don't want to be locked back, holding our core tight. Now I'm going to go back to the wall, to my anchor for my last exercise, and this one's for the back of my arms. We're going to do an extension overhead. So I'm just going to come out here, get into a stable, putting the bands together over my head, squeezing my elbows in towards my ears, and I'm going to extend and come back. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do 30 seconds of these. Extend, and come back. This works the back of your arms, otherwise known as bat wings sometimes. Full extension, squeeze and come back. Don't want your elbows flailing out. You want to keep them nice and tight towards your ears as you extend out and back. Inhale, exhale on the exertion. Inhale as you come back. Nice steady tempo. If it's 1, 2, 3 out, it's 1, 2, 3 back.
Rest.
Okay, so that's our circuits. We have 6 exercises. And we're gonna go through that one more time. At 30 seconds apiece. So the first one was our alternating chest press. So arms at chest level, shoulders down and back, chin level with the floor. Get into a stable stance, tall chest, one at a time. Keep the tension on the side that isn't working. We don't want it twisting us. Come back, out to the other side. Here we go. So we're creating additional work for our body when we're doing it this way because we have to maintain good solid core engagement to keep keep ourselves from being pulled side to side by the band. So we're working the chest predominantly, but we're also working all those other muscles
Rest.
to stabilize our shoulders, stabilize our core, arms, all of that. So a little bit different than you would get if you were laying on a bench, for instance, with your back flat on a bench or on the floor using a dumbbell, working the chest in the same manner, but you're not engaging core and all the stabilizing muscles. So this is going to be the next exercise was our single arm row. So shoulders width apart, soft knee,
Work.
drive that elbow back and return. Now again, here I want to make it harder. I'm going to go further away from the wall. So it creates more resistance the further out you are. And again, I don't want this band twisting me, so I have to engage my core and the opposite side, the non-working side, to maintain stability. And there's my alternating back row. Okay, I'm going to take the band down to the floor for those upright rows, stepping on the outside edges, bringing up the middle, get underneath there and make sure that you're really on nice and tight so you don't snap it. I've got my hands here about shoulder width apart, a little less. And this is the one where I'm going to come up with my elbows up under my chin. So it's rowing upright, squeezing shoulder blades down and back behind you. Inhale. Exhale as you lift. Inhale as you lower. There we go. Nice steady pace. Tempo is very important with exercises. You don't want to let the weight dictate the tempo. You want to resist against it, and that's getting you extra work. Get one more of those in there. There's my upright row. Okay, we're going to go to our compound exercise where that was curl, turn the hand around and press up overhead. Start with the right side. And again, figure out what tension works for you. Shorter the band, the more the tension. Shoulder width apart, soft knee, shoulders down and back. Curl, turn, press overhead. And reverse. Keep that elbow in nice and tight to your side. Control the movement all the way through. Don't let it be pulling you. Working our core, engaging that core. A little bit of a pelvic tilt to maintain stability. All the way through the range of motion. Here we go. Let's get one more in there. And I'm going to go to the other side.
Rest.
Okay. Again, find the tension that's going to work for you. I highly recommend, even if you're working one side, hold the handle on the other side so that it doesn't slide or slip. So keep the tension. You know, you're not pulling on this, but you want to hold it so the band doesn't slip out from under your feet. Okay, so this is the same thing. Other side, turn and up. Ready? Here we go. Curl, turn, up.
Work.
All the way up. Here's 2. See how many we get in 30 seconds. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try the one more. 9. So
Rest.
that was the bicep curl. We're gonna come back to our bands on the wall here. We're gonna go back into that overhead tricep extension. Now, when we're talking about how many exercises you do in a circuit or in a round, usually if you're starting out and it's fairly lightweight, and most bands will be considered fairly lightweight, you want to be able to do, here we go, elbows in nice and tight
Work.
as I extend. We're working. You probably want to start with about 10 to 12 repetitions for each exercise. Now, that's not to say if you're at 12 repetitions and you feel as though you could do 20, 30 more, then it's time to probably add more resistance to that exercise. Okay, here we go. Last one. Squeeze it out. Perfect.
Complete.
Okay, so we have a 1-minute rest and we're going to move into our lower body exercises. So for our lower body exercises, I'm going to be combining using a regular band, but also I am going to use this loop band. And these bands are great. You can find them pretty much anywhere, by the way. But when I add a loop band to an exercise like a squat or a bridge or hip thrust, and when I'm pushing out against it, you know, a tendency some people have is to let the knees drop in when you squat, and you really want to be pushing to the outside edge. So I'm going to use this band just above my knee, go a little higher, and as I come down in that squat, I've got these bands here for tension, for, you know, this is dumbbells or bands. I'm going to push out as I come up and down, right? So that's going to add some extra work to my traditional squat. Knees go out, sit it down, come back up. Push it all the way down, come back up. So certainly you don't need the band, but if you're ready to change up the exercise, you can add the loop band as an additional workload on that traditional squat, with or without the other band.
Rest.
Okay, so that's my squat. Now I'm gonna use this loop band again, although this one's a little light, so I'm gonna take a little heavier one. And again, sometimes the colors or the thickness of the band indicate. And we're gonna do that little bit of a deadlift. So this is a kickstand deadlift, basically. So I'm gonna stand shoulder width apart, one foot slightly behind the other, holding onto that band, shoulders down and back, and I'm gonna push my hips back, feel the stretch through my hamstring, and come up and squeeze at the top. Back down, squeeze at the top. So hips go first, head and chest follow, keeping a nice tight line, shoulders down and back. I'm locking my lats in as I come down, squeeze at the top, working glutes and hamstrings. Gonna move that over to the other side. Same exercise, tall chest, lock those shoulders down and back. That's kind of a cue you're gonna hear through every exercise essentially. And move over to the other arm and the other leg. We got our toe here and same movement. We're gonna go back on the hip and come up and squeeze at the top. You can do this with a regular band. You're just gonna step on it and find your tension that works.
Work.
Drop it down, come on up. If you're using a dumbbell, you can do the same thing, holding a dumbbell. Lots of ways to make this exercise work. Squeeze my glute at the top. You'll feel that if you're doing it right, through the hamstring, and then at this point through the glute. All the way down, all the way up. So body comes in one movement down and up. Okay? So that's our little deadlift. We are going to take it back to the band, and I'm going to take that right up over about mid-calf, and we're going to do some lateral stepping to work what we call the medial glute. Now, That's a muscle group that we don't often work unless you're moving side to side. Most of what we do in life is front to back. So keeping my feet in alignment, I'm going to step out and come together. We'll do 3 out and 3 back. And I'm sitting down and back into a squatted position. So here's your, I'm trying to make sure that I don't want my toe coming out first. I want to come with a parallel foot. Step it back, and leave space between your toes on the return so that we keep tension on the band the whole range of motion. Okay, so
Rest.
those are my lateral steps. We're going to take it down to the floor and keep that band on. Or if you're using a regular band, you can do that movement with a regular band. You would just be holding it as you step side to side. Okay, so I'm going to bring that band up here. If I'm using a regular band, I'm going to wrap that around. I'll do both so you can see. And heels close to your glutes, flat on the bottom. I'm going to come up, squeeze the glutes, open, close, down. Up, open, close, down. So if you got a regular band, you're just crossing it over here and pulling on it for tension, or you're using just the band, the loop band. Up, open a little, close, come back down. Squeeze your glutes at the top. You want to think about shortening the distance between your rib cage and your hip bones. So now we're going to end with a core exercise here. I'm going to bring this band down, put it over my toes like so. And we're going to just do a bicycle where I'm extending opposite leg as I rotate back and forward. You can do these without any resistance band. You're still going to feel them. So here we go. You ready? Opposite. Squeeze, pushing that out. So just using that band to add a little element to the exercise to make it just that little bit harder. Oh yeah. Back and forth. Same movement without the band. Okay. Woo. Felt that one.
Rest.
Okay. So I'm gonna pop this band back up over my thighs, and we're gonna go through that whole circuit again. So that started with our squats, where I've got this weight or the band up here at my shoulders. From the side, it's going to look like this, pushing out on the outside edges of that band, which is positioned just above my knees. Oh, there we go. Sit down and back, squeeze at the top. Those are my squats, weighted with the band at my shoulders or dumbbells at your shoulders if you're not using bands, and using the loop band to push out against to add more resistance to the movement. And rest.
Rest.
Okay, we're gonna take it down to 1 foot with my loop band as I do my little kickstand deadlift. So soft knee, tall chest, shoulders locked in, lock those lats, lock it down. And we're gonna push through the hips back and come back up. Here we go.
Work.
Whole body moves. If you're, don't keep your head up, keep your head in alignment with the rest of your body. Whole body moves down, squeeze at the top. Hips go back, back flat. Back and forth. See, a couple more in here, feeling that through your hamstring and your glute. All right, we're going to move it to the other side.
Rest.
Putting it on the other foot, holding it with the other hand, taking a little break in between. Now, as I mentioned, I use the timer just because it keeps me on track for time so that I'm not going over for your time. This whole circuit could be done with repetitions instead of time. I would recommend going through it if you're just starting out twice like we are, but as you get better,
Work.
here we go, hips back. As you get stronger, you can do 10 to 12 repetitions. Those last couple, you should be feeling as though, oh, my form is still good, but I don't think I can do a whole lot more. And if you want to add another round, 3 rounds of 10 to 12 reps, even up to 4 rounds for each exercise, you can add
Rest.
rounds as you progress. And then if it gets very easy to do 12, even 15 repetitions, then it's time to add a different weight to it. So you add rounds, you add repetitions, you add load. Those are the ways to increase the work that you're doing on your exercise. Okay, so my band is up over my thighs. I'm on those hip bridges, working my glutes. Squeeze as I lift up, shortening the distance between my hip bones and the bottom of my rib cage. Open, close, down, up, squeeze, open, close, down. These little bridges are great exercise to do regularly, with or without a band, if you sit a lot during the day, because it wakes up your glutes, which have a tendency
Rest.
to get very sleepy. Okay, let's see, we have our glute openers, glute band left, glute band right. Oh, side to side. I knew I forgot something. I'm going out of order. Leaving that loop band on over my calves. Here, we're going to do that side to side. Now, as I mentioned, if you don't have a loop band, you can do this with a regular band. Just hold it, step out, and step back. You want to keep your feet parallel. You don't want to be leading with the toe. If you're leading with the toe, it means that you're not engaging the muscle that you should be engaging to make the movement work. Back and forth, left, keeping that nice and tall. You should be feeling this right in the middle of the glute. Back and forth. Here we go.
Rest.
Perfect. Okay, we're on our last exercise for this second round, and that is going to be our bicycles. And I'm going to drop that down to a little lighter band. I don't want a real heavy band for this. And remember, opposite arm and knee come together at the top, and you extend the other side. Okay, here we go. Last exercise. Let's make it work.
Work.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. Gosh, this one feels like it's longer than 30 seconds. We've got 5 seconds left. And 3, 2, 1. I'm
Rest.
done. That is the end of our 2 exercise round here for today. And you can see, you can get your heart rate up pretty good, get a reasonable full body workout in. We work chest, back, shoulders, back of the shoulders, biceps, triceps, quadriceps, our glutes, our core, lots of great work using a few very simple, very relatively inexpensive tools in our own body. So resistance bands, just a really, really great way to maintain your fitness. Recommendations for strength training are a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes twice a week. If you were to do a workout like that twice a week, as I mentioned, I use the timer, but 3 sets of 10 to 12 exercises per body part, go through a circuit, you would be going a long way towards meeting your fitness goals for strength training. Okay, we're going to just stretch it out just a little bit if you have a few minutes to hang on. So I'm going to start with a little chest stretch. I'm going to just loop my fingers together behind me and drop my shoulders down, lift up a little bit. Feel that stretch all through the front of your chest. Breathe in and breathe out. I'm going to reverse that with a back stretch. Take my fingers, pop them together, drop it, palms forward, and lean over and get a nice stretch through my lats and my back. Couple inhales and exhales. These stretches, by the way, are excellent to do just throughout the course of the day if you've been sitting at the desk and you want to get up. Little shoulder stretch. So palms up to the ceiling, shoulders down and back, reach across, pull with the other side. Feel that stretch all through the top of your shoulders. Couple good cleansing breaths, open it up. Go to the other side, drop that shoulder down. Inhale and exhale. Here we go. I'm going to do a little quadricep stretch. I'm just going to hang on to something, reach back, grab my foot by my shoelaces, keep those knees in alignment. You don't want to be out here or way forward, just about aligned as I pull my heel towards my butt. Feel a stretch through the front of my quadricep. Turn it around. I'm going to take it to the other side. Here we go. Perfect. Back of my leg, I'm going to kick that heel out, push those hips back and lean forward. Feel a stretch through my hamstring. Reach for a little bit more. Take it to the other side. Stretch. Here we go. And then let's just fold ourselves forward. Nice long body stretch. Inhale, exhale, come up nice and slow, one vertebrae at a time, come way up. Big inhale, big exhale. And that, my friend, is our program for today. Thank you all for joining, and have a wonderful holiday, folks. I will open a quick chat box because I see somebody had a question. We can stop recording. Oh, thank you, Kareem. I totally appreciate it. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to everybody.